Naughty Dog games have been a prime source of entertainment for me throughout more than half of my life. From my everlasting love and hate relationship with Crash Bandicoot, to the thrill and excitement of Jak and Daxter, and of course to the perpetually harrowing journey of Ellie and Joel's story in the Last of Us series. But my appreciation and sentimentality for their Uncharted franchise is what I would document as the true encapsulation of love and enjoyment for gaming.
Just like old times, huh?
You could say that.
Most people have a medium that meanders the coexistence of sentimentality and nostalgia to remember a specific scene, a particular line,
I am your father,
or even a music track, and instantly be reminded of wistful memories including joy and happiness. Or pathos at the remembrance of it no longer continuing.
I don't want to go.
For gaming, the Uncharted series hits that balance of appreciation and sentimentality for me specifically, to the point where hearing Nathan Drake's theme alone offsets a variety of emotions that no other game has achieved. It reminds me of the times I was in my early teens and rushing back from school to play Uncharted 2 multiplayer, or to the gut-wrenching yet fulfilling moment of watching the credits turn up after finishing Uncharted 4. So, what is it about the shortest installment in the franchise, Uncharted Lost Legacy, that managed to wriggle, pull, climb, and drive its way towards being not only my favourite game of the series, but game as a whole, even without the charm, wit, and snark of our treasured protagonist, Nathan Drake?
Christ almighty.
Pointing out the elephant in the room, Uncharted Lost Legacy is one of the few AAA games to give us a female protagonist, and not just one, but two main characters who are women of colour. It's no secret that the game industry is still slowly shimmying its way through diversifying their big screen characters, and to save being a broken record for something that has been pointed out many times, to simply put, the game industry still needs improving. That's not to say female protagonists are anything new to the gaming industry, when we have the likes of Horizon Zero Dawn, Life is Strange, Tomb Raider, Dishonored, Transistor, Mirror's Edge, Celeste, Control, and Telltale's The Walking Dead. There is a slowly progressing variety of really appealing games where women are placed up front and centre of the story. But perhaps with the exclusion of Life is Strange and the Last of Us series, alongside both their DLC counterparts, despite there being a growing number of games including a female protagonist as the main character, there still seems to be an insufficiency of women interacting and having developing relationships across their stories. Some of my favourite games have dynamic duos or iconic partners that really help enrich the story. Mario and Luigi, Peter and MJ, Ellie and Joel, Ratchet and Clank, Lee and Clementine. Some of those relationships are so interwoven with their narratives that audiences build these heavy connections and attachments that augment the story all the more. Most times, the partnerships we see in games are either a man and woman, or girl and father figure, or two guys. Having two women front and centre of the stage is incredibly sparse. The co-president of Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, described how Naughty Dog's games are intended to be a very character-driven experience, so it's no surprise that Naughty Dog would expand on the Uncharted universe through including a very prominent and important female dynamic I have been dying to play since I first picked up a DualShock controller.
What? Looked like a button.
Lost Legacy is an assemblage of everything that made the previous games so enjoyable, whilst revitalising new game mechanics and relationships that differentiate the game as a brilliant sequel that makes the story its own.
You guys are hilarious.
But Lost Legacy writers Sean Eskai and Josh Scher managed to find that perfect balance of familiarity to ease gamers into a newer Uncharted territory, to scope environments, game mechanics, and style of character writing, but with two other characters we've already been introduced to in the previous games. Lost Legacy feels like a combination of Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 4, both being some of the most enjoyable games of the franchise for me. Lost Legacy integrated the buzz and excitement of the mystical expedition that Uncharted 2 evoked when viewing the beautiful set pieces of Nepal, Tibet, and the Himalayas. There are massive terrains to view in Lost Legacy, all crafted with the intent of interlayering this otherworldly feel and spiritual experience, like finding the abled city of Shambhala with the Ferber dagger, versus searching for the legendary tusk of Ganesh with the disc of Ganesh. Though, similarly to Uncharted 3, where one of Drake's close possessions, Sir Francis Drake's ring, functioned to decode puzzles in the cipher disc, Chloe's Ganesh figurine, which was also a close possession given to her by her father, also ended up solving the puzzle of gaining the location of the tusk of Ganesh. In an interview, Eskai only further reiterates the plan they had to make Lost Legacy bring back that mystical ambience. That's one of the big things that we loved about the early Uncharted games, that there are these huge archaeological ruins and sites that you get to climb and traverse and witness from different perspectives, bringing back the sense of discovery, the sense of scale, integrating our puzzles into the history of the region, and of course, building the character's narrative into gameplay. Even specific levels in Lost Legacy incorporate segments we are previously familiar with, such as the well-crafted train sequence at the end of its story, very reminiscent of the iconic train sequence in Uncharted 2, with grand landscapes flowing past Nate and Chloe as you weave past enemies and shimmy across the dangerous sides of the train which threaten you with natural obstacles. We have expansive lost cities and locations in Lost Legacy, in particular the lost city of Halabadu in the jungles of South India, and the gorgeous hidden city within Baluru. Hidden cities are once again another element within the Uncharted series fans will recognise, going back to the foundations of the mythical kingdom Shambhala, or the pirate utopia Libertalia. And whilst Lost Legacy captures and reenacts the same venturesome thrill Uncharted 2 played out, with grand environments and moments of verisimilitude, it also hones in on the quieter and more intimate moments I feel Uncharted 4 perfected, exploring the humanity and vulnerability of their cast, with authentic reactions showing realistic internal conflict, while still being faithful to the true heart of Uncharted, which is the characters. And we also see this in the game mechanics Lost Legacy continued from Uncharted 4, with the AI interacting with you a lot more and actually feeling like a dependent partner who you talk to, work alongside, and build a relationship with, and also kick ass with, something I definitely enjoyed seeing in Lost Legacy. Nothing better than watching two strong women beat the crap out of a ruthless warlord. But even with mechanics like the car pulley, the rope hook in swinging, the optional conversations, being stealthy in tall grass, all the advanced technology they added to the fourth installment was also integrated within Lost Legacy very effectively. Whilst this may be a biased opinion, I found Lost Legacy to have some of the most spectacular set pieces within the entire franchise. The game was supplemented with breathtaking level designs that brought in a sense of scale and astonishing displays. The environmental, lighting, texture and shader artists as well as the modelers pushed for this sense of exploration within its geographic area, supplying us with beautiful greenery and vegetation to engross us within these overgrown jungle areas, going so far as utilising and including different attributes to the plants to make the vegetation that much more variable and wild, which blends so nicely with the amazing texture and shading work implemented within the surfaces of the rocks and metals that are seen across the board, creating elements that make set pieces such as the huge lower chamber statues of Parashurama versus Ganesh that much more impactful, or how lighting techniques such as the stunning example created by Jeremy Vickery where the light rays are just slipping through the opening of the caves to reflect off the metallic roofs of the lost city Shiva are so naturally and subtly used to train your eye into the flow of the environmental introduction. And the attention to detail can be said for the smaller set pieces of the game, like the introductory level within the Indian town, from the chaotic combination of Tamil spoken from shop stalls and marketplaces that may be familiar to some gamers, to the cloths and pots textured with patterns and cracks that may feel very homey to that environment. It's a scene most certainly a throwback to the Madagascan market you walk through on Uncharted 4, A lot of this may not have been realised without the impressive work of the concept artists, from line work pieces that bolden and reinforce the rocky structural openings of their environments, to beautifully composed and atmospheric digital artworks from the likes of Isaac Yerum Kim, Simeon Schaffner, Eitan Zana, One Pixel Brush Studios, and many more. These illustrations warranted the need of being further explored within the final designs by reason of how beautifully they captured the atmospheric escapade of Lost Legacy, showing off the diversity of South India and how they could push the fewer locations they had to their limits. One significant expansive section of the game is the miniature open world level within the Western Ghats, such a wide environment that succeeded in many challenges, such as allowing for a linear narrative within a non-linear space. There are 3 main goals of the level, and each can be played in different orders depending on the gamer. But once those goals are accomplished, irrespective of which order you completed the tasks in, we're then back to the more linear narrative Naughty Dog are known for. We saw something similar within Uncharted 4, when Nate, Sully and Sam entered the beautiful views of Madagascar, traversing the plains on the 4x4 truck and trying out a new technique of storytelling Naughty Dog hadn't really done previously. Marganow described this level as the biggest area ever made for an Uncharted game. As you can see in this time-lapse from Anthony Vaccaro, one of the game's amazing environment artists, this level was by no means simple to develop. But it's the expanse of the land, the openness of the world and multiple tasks to complete that gave you the time to listen to Chloe and Nadine's blossoming friendship.
Whoa! Shit! See? I told you it was dangerous. You hurt. Just my dignity.
Something that differentiates Lost Legacy from its predecessors is that the game takes place relatively within the same area. Contextually, the reasonings behind Lost Legacy not expanding out its geographical environments is due to the tight scheduling of the game, even more so with the giant of a sequel, The Last of Us Part 2, also looming over the project. But in turn, keeping to a more constrained and compact environmental area helped them keep research to an appropriate and realistic time frame. And not only that, but they specifically chose a country that would link narratively to our new main protagonist, Chloe. Previously, we would follow Nate around all different continents, where he would share his understandings of the land and other knowledgeable things he'd learnt from experience or research. Whilst with Chloe, exploring the grounds of India was a much more personal exploration into Chloe's heritage, bringing in real-world societies and empires like the Hoysala Empire or the Western Ghats. As such, we're able to learn more about Chloe's character than we had previously in all the other games combined, offering us more of an understanding as to why she went into this treasure hunting business, and why this tusk was so much more to her than a quick treasure find for some extra money. Of course, I can't go praising the environment designs without also giving my appraisal to the character designs. Chloe in particular has some of the largest changes to her face model since her appearance in Uncharted 2, making the difference between Chloe's first appearance and Lost Legacy a significant 8 years. Shadi Safadi was the senior concept artist for Chloe during Uncharted 2's development, Dan Milligan for Uncharted 3, and finally Richard Loynes for Uncharted 4. It's interesting to see from a fan perspective the variety of directions Chloe's design has undergone, whilst still keeping the recognisable iconography that identifies her character. And not only that, but seeing her grow older and become more mature as the time has passed over the games, from adapting her clothing to more practical wear, or as practical as Chloe's clothing can be, to the slight crow's feet and wrinkles you see in her newer model. And you don't often see women aging in games, especially not a character like Chloe, who started off as this sexy, bordering femme fatale foil to Nathan Drake, and served as a contrast to Elena Fisher, who is presented as the nice girl versus Chloe's bad girl qualities. And in similarity, Nadine also follows this more naturally aging character design. Her design wasn't a complete overhaul like Chloe's situation, because her last appearance was within Uncharted 4, a game released only a year before Legacy. Instead, Jae-hoon Kim, the senior character artist in charge of Nadine's model in Lost Legacy, took to more nuanced changes on her face, as well as redesigning her detailed and challenging curly hair into a more practical hairstyle, again influenced by Richard Loyen's concept art. But ultimately, and most importantly, they kept the most valuable and incredibly esteemed element of her character design, those spectacular arms. Because even in a fist fight, Nadine Ross is bringing the big guns. On another point, something that actually amuses me about Chloe and Nadine's character designs is just how perfectly coincidental their juxtaposed designs are compared to each other. Nadine comes from a very militant background, having taken on her father's paramilitary organisation Shoreline during Uncharted 4, therefore making sense that her outfit is prepped and ready accordingly. She wears sturdy combat boots, cargo trousers suitable for the hotter, more humid climate they'd be travelling, supported by a canvas belt that also carries her gun holder and strap. She has a watch on her preferable wrist and then of course has tied her hair up not to get in the way. Compared to Chloe however, who just traverses around the jungle in a light fixed hairdo, very tight fitting blue jeans and bright red top that Nadine makes sure to comment on.
Right. And lost, wearing red in a jungle combat scenario. I mean, seriously.
Oh, and also multiple beaded necklaces that could get caught on anything, as well as keeping her holster on her back where anyone could grab it. Chloe almost seeming amateurish in comparison to Nadine, who has clearly thought about the mission plan a million times before setting off. Neither Chloe or Nadine are characters you would describe as heroic from the beginning of the game, as both are Uncharted's paradigm towards the ambiguity of morality. They're the characters who aren't afraid to run away. Nadine, being the only antagonist of Uncharted, astute enough to realise when they've been beaten, leaving Rafe and Nate in Avery's ship, as she has the sense and discernment to know treasure is not worth fighting for if it leads to your death. Whilst Chloe puts self-preservation first, as shown with her decisions during Uncharted 2 in betraying Nate and using Flynn as a means of survival, or when she walks away from Nate's hunt for the Atlantis of the Sands in Uncharted 3, which, as Sky explained, was the ideal opportunity to combine both characters for the perfect brew of storytelling. And this is where my favourite element of the game comes in, the Claudine dynamic. Lost Legacy supplements itself with building on a dynamic that is the equivalent of oil and water trying to mix, and yet it's Nadine's stoicism that really draws out Chloe's unorthodoxy.
That's supposed to happen? I know.
And in turn, Chloe's unpredictability shifts that adaptability of Nadine's methods.
Did we do this just now? Well, technically I did. Cocky.
Seeing a character whom many thought as formal, professional and cold, and bringing to light personality traits you wouldn't have seen during A Thief's End. She lightens up, laughs at Chloe's whips and snark, and even just goes along with it and allows for compliments and flirtations that she most definitely didn't receive whilst bossing around Shoreline.
There. You make a phenomenal statue.
Going from pushing Nate out of a window to playfully pushing Chloe into a tavern of water for a laugh, or the subtle ways you see their relationship grow in terms of physical interactions, from not wanting the support of a hand grab to slowly making its way to a hand grab that is infused in the fear of losing Chloe. Chloe most definitely follows a similar path, but in a more intimate way. She was allowed to breathe more as a character, and it's due to this partnership with Nadine that we're really able to see Chloe open up like that, to see Nadine as a confidant and learn things about her that even Nate didn't in Uncharted 2. And that's the foundation of Uncharted. If the narrative is the puzzle, then the characters are the key. The characters we all know and cherish are pivotal to this franchise's success. Uncharted just wouldn't be the same without that level of focus and care put into making these characters feel real and have dynamics that just can't be replicated. Nadine started this game looking to build up cash, to start from the ground up again and restore her pride, and instead found herself within an unlikely partnership enjoying many aspects of treasure hunting with Chloe.
Oh
my god!
It's all muscle.
That's what they all say.
And our favourite impulsive treasure hunter herself started this quest with the determination of finding answers about what happened to her father's lost quest to get the tusk, and instead finds herself for the very first time taking the steps into being heroic.
You know, you should play the hero more often. Suits you.
And finally,
Nah,
not running away.
I'm tired of walking away.
And it's this specific scene that just tipped the scale for me in deciding this Uncharted game was my favourite. It's filled with vulnerability, it's filled with heroics, and of course, in Uncharted's infamous fashion, filled with the reminder that our main character never faces the impossible alone. Which is why through every new game they release, there's an increase on making sure the AI of your partner is very believable.
We're taking advantage of the buddy system by integrating more of the narrative. For example, if our characters in the story aren't communicating well, or they're upset, or they're aggravated, it will reflect in the gameplay. So if I've just come out of a heated argument with Nadine Ross, in the gameplay you will feel that tension, you will feel that aggravation.
You feel the variations of emotions your partner is experiencing due to the specialised game mechanics that make the AI as realistic as possible. My personal favourite moments being the times at which Nadine will join in and help you during your fights. Or just completely do all the fighting for you, I guess. It creates this immersion of teamwork, that you're not on this mission alone, and the last train sequence is the epiphany of teamwork. Unlike Uncharted 2 and 4, where you battle an army of suited up enemies alone, Lost Legacy constantly reminds players that Nadine is there with you during this fight. When Chloe jumps, Nadine jumps. When Chloe hijacks a car, you best know Nadine's already taken out the guy behind you. You genuinely feel like a part of a team, and whilst this may sound incredibly cheesy, Lost Legacy truly is a testament of the saying, maybe the real treasure was the friends we made along the way, because the development of Chloe and Nadine's relationship is considerably a more worthy treasure than the golden tusk of Ganesh.
It's good to have you back.
The game gives us that same adventure, that same rush, the same heart that has always made any Uncharted game enjoyable.
Oh, don't cross Ross. I should put that one on my business card.
And opened up a possibility of even more sequels of Chloe and Nadine, and Sam and Sully if they so wish to join. In many ways, I feel like Chloe and Nadine's journey has only just truly begun. As always, thank you for watching. All the references I've mentioned are linked within the description, and if you've played any of the Uncharted games, or all of them, which is your favourite in the series? Comment down below and let me know.